If you're looking to be a great ball striker and hit consistent golf shots, then this position is ideal. What we see with most great players is the club head and the center of mass in the shaft is behind the hands in delivery. And that's really what today's video is all about. How I can get you to influence your swing to get in that position or nearer that position more often. And in doing so, it's going to mean that you get more passive through the ball in terms of your hands, and your body can be more active through the ball rather than shutting down. So all these things happen as a consequence. So quite simply to start with, I've got here just a rod here that demonstrates pretty much our ball to target line. It's obviously slightly off the ball to target line, otherwise it'd be interfering with the ball. So I can move it back, if you like, on the line further away from the ball. And this rod is on an angle, let's say it's about 35-40 degrees set back. And the idea really with this initially is just to understand this is where we're looking for the club to be, roughly in that delivery position. Now with most elite players, the amount this works inside the hands will vary ever so slightly, but the key things is inside the hands. Most golfers I would see, particularly the golfers that have a slice or struggle with heel contact, the club head in this position will be outside the hands. Now that's sometimes caused by how the shoulders work in the downswing, how the right arm and right hand work in the downswing, but basically it pushes this club head further away from our body as we swing down, which presents us then with a cut across path or an out to in path if you like, and that heely strike. In doing so, we then have to almost raise the handle through contact to stop shanking the ball and also flip our hands excessively to make sure we don't hit the ball as far right. Now some release of the hands, it's absolutely fine before I get the hand police coming down on me. We do want some hand action without doubt. But what we see with the best players in this world is they tend to open their body up more through the ball. The club will travels from the inside and gets, if you like, squared up with the body rotation. And the outward force of the shaft and the squaring up and lining up of the center of mass in the shaft and the hands happens later. And that's the key thing. We're trying to influence what you currently do with a few exercises I'm going to share with you today that are going to try and hopefully get you more on this inside path, which we'd want 99.9% of golfers to be on. So quite simply, we'd start with just this very simple exercise. Let's start standing to the golf ball, swinging back and trying to present that golf club, slightly toe down if we can, but the center mass behind the hands and matching up with the sticks we have in the ground. Now that feels quite extreme. I want it to feel extreme. When we go and actually hit the golf ball, we might well just think, okay, can I dissect the ball to target rod on the ground and try and hit it more from that inside angle? But the more we can practice that rehearsal, okay, that's where I want to be. How do I produce that? What do I feel I have to do? Again, if I turn my body too quickly, the club wants to come out and past that. So I have to be a bit more patient in my body turn. I have to feel like my arms work down and almost forward to get onto that rod. And that is part of the key to the sequence, which I'll cover more in detail on other videos. Let's really look at how we can try and fix the effect and give an instant kind of change with these drills in this video to try and make you feel that you're going to be more from that inside angle. So from there then, I would recommend that we would go ahead and just hit a shot, trying to feel I'm trying to get close to that rod as I can. Again, I just hit that one nice and gently, just really trying to emphasize the club moving nearer to that rod. It's not about full power, full shots. I'd really advise you start slow and almost work at the level where you break down. So if you break down about 80% of your power, that's where you should practice more so, and then edge that forward as you get more comfortable and get used to getting into the same positions. So this would be exercise number one. Let's go into exercise number two. So exercise number two is using a rod. And what I find with golfers is they're either good at trying to hit something or trying to miss something. So initially what we're going to work on is trying to hit something. And I'm putting this rod in an extreme location to really make you change how you move. So I'm putting it into a position where really it's pretty much impossible to hit, but the intent is trying to hit it. So again, if I take my setup, neutral and square as we've been doing already, swing back as normal, then the goal will be, can I try and hit that rod back there? And we certainly don't want to cast to try and hit the rod there. We want to feel, can we get that club there without losing our wrist angles? And in order to get close to that, you'll notice you have to have a huge amount of lateral side bend to the right, which we do want to encourage the shallow of that club. But just trying to hit that in terms of the practice swings and then the real swing is a real extreme over the edge change for what you need to do. Where have I positioned this? If you look at my stance, my heel would be about 2 club head widths in front of that shaft. And I've got it roughly on a 7-iron angle. Nothing precise, don't be perfect about this. If with this you find you hit it too often, move it further back. It's really about taking you to this extreme level initially, then to be able to go back to a normal shot and hit it. So again, what we'd want to do is set up to the golf ball, swing back, get close to it, and feel like we can get close to it when we hit a proper shot. There's a good chance doing these exercises you're going to hit a lot of shots that will go straight right, like that one. That was an extreme block, but I really felt I worked superly hard to try and swing underneath that, or close to that rather, on the downswing. Let's look at drill number 3. So this time it's about missing the rod. And again, we can change the location of this depending on how brave we're trying to be and what our current pattern is. So I've got this rod, as you can see there, pretty close to my ball to target line, and again pretty close set to the 7-iron I've got here in my hand, lie angle or shaft angle at address. What I'm going to look to do with this one is swing back one side of the rod and swing down the other side of the rod to feel that chain and loop in the golf swing that I want you to encourage. So all these things are really encouraging what we want, and we could even use this way as well. Step forward and make some practice swings and trying to get the shaft behind the rod and the hands in front of the rod, which I have covered in a few other videos in the past. That's really working on the delivery position that we want. And again, we can set that up to be harder. But initially with this rod here, what I want you to see you do, swing back over it, swing down underneath it. And again, probably start at low power and build up the power as you get more confident and comfortable. And it will start to give you the feeling of this direction in your swing that we would want to be, let's call it orthodox or correct or efficient, and certainly following what all the great ball strikers would do. So set up as normal, rehearse it over and under, and then when we go and hit the golf ball, we're going to go over and under. And this one for me is definitely the most challenging. Not so much for the downswing, but more for the backswing, because you have to really be aware of taking that club a bit more out in front of you to miss this on the way back. Now, if that was the case, and this is the downswing we're really trying to influence, and your backswing was pretty good, you can move this rod, obviously in here a bit more. That becomes easier for the backswing, but harder for the downswing. So, as I say in lots of videos, it's about feeding what you need. If your backswing is really good, but your downswing needs to be more from the inside or more shallow, then drag this in here. Of course, like in most cases, we have cause and effect. Sometimes our backswing causes the issues that, for the reasons why we can't get it on the inside, and sometimes our sequence and so on. So this isn't really about fixing the cause, this is about fixing the effect. This is about making instant changes to how you move through the golf ball to make you play better straight away.